North Korea has suspended high-level talks with South Korea scheduled for today. It's protesting against the US-South Korean military exercises that it says go against the trend of warming North-South ties. North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency called the US-South Korean Max Thunder air combat drills a provocation and said Pyongyang had no choice but to suspend the talks. Today's meeting was due to discuss plans to implement the Panmunjom Declaration that emerged from an April 27th Inter-Korea summit. The two countries had agreed to formally end the Korean War and pursue complete denuclearization of the peninsula. The North Korean news agency has also cast doubts on next month's summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and the US President Donald Trump. South Korea has called North Korea's decision to call off talks regrettable. Meanwhile, a North Korean expert has said Pyongyang intends to make its demands clear by postponing inter-Korean high-level talks.
북측이 남북 고위급 회담 일자를 우리 측에 알려온 직후 연례적인 한미 연합 공중 훈련을 이유로 남북 고위급 회담을 일방적으로 연기한 것은 4월 27일 양 정상이 합의한 판문점 선언의 근본 정신과 취지에 부합하지 않는 것으로 유감입니다.
The United States, if North Korea demands, needs to show its willingness to talk with North Korea about the issue of deploying strategic assets to the Korean peninsula. And furthermore, the US needs to persuade North Korea with a message saying that denuclearization is not a prerequisite for guaranteeing the security of its regime, but denuclearization and guarantee for the regime's security can go together.
The US has also reacted to Pyongyang suspending talks with South Korea.
We are operating under the idea and the notion that the president's meeting is going forward with Chairman Kim next month.
And if this meeting doesn't happen, will you
that's
still
a hypothetical.
go forward?
That's a hypothetical. You know, look, this news just came out. I can't verify it just yet. It's very early on in the process, but we're planning ahead for our meetings.
The White House has also released a statement saying, "We are aware of the South Korean media report. The US will look at what North Korea has said independently and continue to coordinate closely with our allies." So the North Korea leader throwing a spanner in the works of those talks with Donald Trump that are scheduled for the 12th of June in Singapore, saying that they could possibly call them off if the US continues to insist on North Korea giving up its nuclear weapons. This is directly in response to the National Security Advisor in Washington. It's Mr. Bolton talking about Libya in the context of North Korea. Libya, remember, had been forced to give up its weapons of mass destruction, and many years later, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed by rebels in his own country. The North Koreans have kept their nuclear weapons as an insurance of some sorts for their leadership not to be targeted in any manner in subsequent years. Aisha Sindhu now joining us from the WION newsroom. Aisha, a spanner in the works that North Korea has thrown into that much anticipated summit in Singapore that was scheduled on the 12th of June.
Absolutely, Amitabh. The North Koreans have taken offense to a military drill that is currently underway between the United States and South Korea. They say that it isn't conducive to the atmosphere of peace that was being built upon following the summit between the leaders of North Korea and South Korea on the 27th of April. So North Korea definitely, raising a red flag, not just on the fact that the summit, the drills are taking place, but also asking that the United States not expect too much from North Korea. They are raising concerns over unilateralism, if you will, saying that it has been so far the United States making demand after demand from North Korea and North Korea complying, but really not seeing much in return.
And Aisha, we've seen some reactions coming in from South Korea and Washington. China also hoping that all parties resolve the issues.
Absolutely. I mean, it is something that would benefit any sort of peace dialogue on the peninsula between the North and South, and eventually between the North and the United States, will have a far-reaching impact on the region at large. We know for a fact that North Korea has kept China in the loop as far as these summits go. Remember, North Korea has seen the leader visit China on 2 occasions already in the last couple of months in the lead up to the summit with President Donald Trump. The U.S., for its part, Amitabh, has maintained that so far all of these reports are speculative, that they haven't heard anything officially, and that they are proceeding as if the summit between Trump and Kim Jong-un is going to go according to plan on June 12th in Singapore. But it remains to be seen whether the United States is going to respond positively, perhaps scale back, if you will, some of the engagement with South Korea militarily in order to assuage North Korea's fears.
Aisha Sindhu reporting from the WION newsroom. And more news related to North Korea. India's junior Minister for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, is in Pyongyang. He's held talks. This is the highest level ministerial visit from New Delhi to Pyongyang since 1998. The minister is in Pyongyang along with India's new ambassador, Atul Gotsurve, who formally presented his credentials to the President of the Parliament, Kim Yong-nam. According to officials, the minister held discussions with the Vice President of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly, Kim Yong-dae, Minister of Culture, and other officials. The two sides exchanged views on a range of issues, including education, agriculture, and traditional medicine. The Indian minister was also briefed about the developments on the Korean peninsula. Well, joining us from the newsroom is Surya Gangadhar. And Surya, apparently General V.K. Singh also talked about proliferation issues, which has been India's concern. But there's been a lot of reports, speculation about whether he's carrying a message for a particular country.
Well, that's an interesting point for this debate. You know, the question here is why is he there at this point when, in fact, he's the first Indian minister to reach there in 20-odd years, and is taking place at an important time when there's so much at stake in the Korean peninsula. Is he by any chance carrying a message, say, from the Americans to the North Korean leadership? As you're aware, the Americans have been keen on wanting to engage with as broad a section of the North Korean elite as they can. And they will not expect the Chinese or the Russians to do this. Perhaps a country like India can, you know, and that's possibly one of the reasons why Mr. V.K. Singh is there. Of course, this is speculation. We're not very sure really. And the proliferation angle, yes, China has been involved in North Korea has been involved in the AQ Khan network in the past. So that's another point for India to explore, to see where this is going and what assurances North Korea is giving in terms of its own nuclear program.
Surya.